Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. It's Cowboy, and it's Friday. And today is Max Payne Day. Max Payne. I've got this arrow pointing at $98,000, and that's because several hours ago now, about 5 hours ago, I think it was a little more than that, 5.5, was the options expiration for Bitcoin, right? 8 a.m. UTC. So I believe that's what is that? Extremely early in the US. And the max pain level is where a lot of eyes are when it comes to OPEX. And what that means is that a lot of the market makers may try to push price down to wherever the max pain is, or up to wherever the max pain is, to get people to get hurt who are playing the options game. And long story short, that did not happen. There was just no way to do it. The market was too bullish for anybody to play those kind of games. So it's a very good sign, right? So I figured I'd just point out, yeah, if there were ever games to be played, I want to say there were something like a few $1 billion in options. Let's look at the numbers here. So 7.8 billion worth of Bitcoin options are scheduled to expire at 8 UTC January 31st. So already done. Max pain level for this expiry, 98K. It's the price level at which the total loss for option holders is maximized. And it often influences market dynamics as market makers try to force the price towards this level to maximize their profits. But it stayed above, so that's good. That's just a bullish sign, okay? So just a quick look at that. If there were ever to be a yank down to that level, today would have been the day. Let's take a look at what's going on the Kingfisher.io and see if we can see where the liquidity is sitting, right? So the Kingfisher is a really great website. I use it all the time on these shows. I haven't been using it as much, but I think my usage of it is going to increase because there's been a bit more trading going on. So I'm going to show you, you can just spin this wheel if you haven't bought a subscription yet, although I do recommend considering a subscription. There is a link in the description that will give you some data on that. And you can win credits to use this tool. And you can see right here that there's a lot right here, there's a lot of liquidations down at about 102,000. Big spike. Really all the way from 101,900, which is basically 102, all the way up to 102. It's just around 102. And then you have a little bit here around 103 and a half, and then just some spread out through these areas like below 103 and then down towards 103 300 103 100 1024. So really price could fall down anywhere from 101.5, so 101,500, all the way up to 103,400. But your big spike where most of the money gets made is sitting at around 102. So if we keep that in mind, if we just kind of put a line at 102, that's going to tell us where price could go down to if the algos want to fall. And you can see I already have a line there, right? So I already had my eye on that level for other reasons. And that has to do with where is basically the bottom of this consolidation that we've been seeing going back a few weeks. So 102 is an important area. And if the algos get bearish, right, bearish enough, price could kind of pull down to that level and then probably go up after that, because right now it does seem that the algos are rather bullish on the higher time frame. Let me take a quick look here at the algos for Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, on the 3 hour, of course, we're seeing price settle down a little bit, but that's not too strong. I can tell you, of course, in the high time frame, which in this case is the monthly, algos are very strong. On the weekly, they're turning strong. It's kind of slowly headed in that direction. On the daily, they're pretty bullish. So if there were a pull down to 102, I don't think it would happen today. Well, it could happen at any time. What's gone on here is that, I didn't really forecast past Wednesday. That's why you see so many arrows flying around on the chart where it's like, hey, what's your forecast? You're saying it could just go anywhere. Not much of a forecast. And yeah, kind of true. And that's because after Wednesday, while price more or less did what I said it would do, or at least it was where I said it would be for a lot of that forecast. You had the you had the DeepSeek thing happen on Sunday that really kind of threw it off. And then, of course, Wednesday is FOMC, which in this case, even though there was a lot of hawkish conversation, it really has believe it or not, a bit of dovishness to it because they're talking about raising the inflation target. So, long story short, a lot more money might flow into the market sooner than many think, or at least than many thought prior to Wednesday, right? So, all in all, what does all of this mean? What does all this spell? It spells that price is probably going to go sideways to up, right? So as of next week, I would expect price, if the liquidity map doesn't really change, and it's always changing, but whether it changes very, very little or a lot, that can throw off what I'm about to say. But for the moment, we can see the price has developed a bit of a range, right? A bit of a range between about 100,000 and about 107,000, maybe, peaking out at about 109.5 all-time high, 109,660. So price, I think, will probably stay in the upper half of this, although it could dip down and grab that 102 and more or less range until it doesn't. And I don't expect a whole lot right now today necessarily, but we're going to see how things behave next week because the daily algos did flip bullish. So I think we might have a few more days of price going sideways to up. The way that the algos are right now, it's going to be kind of a slow grind until it's not, right? So if I were to kind of high time frame this, and I'll erase this, but I think Bitcoin is going to go sideways. Let's fix this really quick. I think Bitcoin is probably going to more or less go sideways to up and then finally pop up at some point. Might not be until February, February's tomorrow. It might not be till mid-February. It might be on Saturday, but it's hard to say when. And all of that does have a contingent, at least for now, pull down to 102 to grab liquidity. That could happen, right? Because we have all that liquidations down there. And so all the people playing the game have a lot of incentive to push price down to 102. But guess what? They also had $7 billion worth of incentive to push price down to 98, and they were not able to do that. So, again, talking about options max pain. So it may be that price never dips down to grab that, and it might be that with all of it's just bullish news after bullish news. You've got countries and states, and you've got more, money going into crypto left and right. You've got massive prints of Circle and Tether, and it's just really, really looks bullish right now. A lot of very important people interested in crypto, buying crypto. And the primary thesis, of course, is that crypto is going to be, I don't want to get too optimistic here and say it's going to be the next system. I think it's going to be a new system. I think a lot of the financial money that gets made in the next 10, 20 years at least is going to be made on cryptocurrency, and probably it'll always be some form of crypto or blockchain or something like that. But I think crypto as we know it is going to be where a lot of money goes for the next 5 or 10 years. And I think the whole world is going to do that. And the US is partially leading the way. I know the US used to be a lot harsher on crypto, but it seems as if the tune has changed with Trump, right? Now, he's the president now. He has a lot of influence. And just a few years ago, he was not that interested in crypto, and now he is. And I hate to say this, and I'm sorry that you all have to hear what I'm about to say here, but his handlers have told him crypto's the way, right? As much as we like to think, those of us who are fans of Trump or those of us who like him, those of us who think he's making all of his own decisions probably need to think again. And I think that he's gotten word from the top that crypto is the way, and that's the way he's going, and that's fine. And if you don't like that, well, I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. Let's take a quick look at Solana. We started a little bit late today, so we'll continue to look at charts. Solana showing some resilience, right? So if you look at the higher time frame, I'm going to jump back, and I'm going to look at Solana on a different exchange here. Okay, because it'll get rid of all my drawings and stuff like that. So let's go to Solana USDT over on Binance. And you can see this massive spike. And this has to do with the Trump coin. So we have here on the 14th of January, right? You have a lot of money heading in to Bitcoin, to Solana, and that's because Trump launched his coin on the Solana blockchain. Now, whenever you see a pump that's that big, you expect price to mostly head back down to where it was. And so far, it's been very resilient. And usually what you do is you look for a 618 retracement, and it basically did that. It's not quite made it there, not to say it won't, but fortunately, if you take a look at the structure that was made prior to that, and if I make this a little easier to see, you'll notice that there is this bit of structure right here. Price is able to grab liquidity from this prior move right here, this prior pivot point. So it seems as if price is more or less obeying the structure here and respecting it, and may continue up or may not. It may go sideways, but long story short, usually after a strong pump like that, you see a strong pullback, and this is holding on pretty well. Solana's holding on pretty well, especially with Bitcoin not, Bitcoin's acting in a way that's a little unpredictable, and yet Solana's holding up nicely. So that's a really strong sign for Solana. As a matter of fact, 250 million stablecoins, I believe, were printed on the Solana chain. If I read that right, let me see if I can find that bit here. Okay, so where is it? I'm looking on some prior reports on a different screen here. Some more bullish items here. It looks like XRP ETF approval has an 82% chance of being approved in 2025, which would be pretty big for XRP. A lot of Bitcoin being purchased. And okay, so $250 million of Circle was minted on Solana. That's a big sign of a pump for Solana. That doesn't mean it's going to happen for sure, but that's a big, big sign. And of course, there's just a lot going on in that world, right? A lot of people flooding into crypto. And speaking of flooding in, we got V the Guerilla flooding into the chat. How are you, sir?
Hey, man, I'm flooding in.
Nice, nice. We're still on the public. I started a couple minutes late, so I gave the public a little bit longer. But we are ready to head over to the private live lab. So do you want to
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
get us
head over to the private lab, and you guys could join us over there.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Hello.
Si c'est poidois.
What?
I'll tell you that. I'll remind you what that was later. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching, and head to algofactory.tech. If you can predict where price is going, you can extract money from these markets, and we are exceedingly talented and good at predicting where price is going.
Nobody better. There's nobody
better. Nah.
Period. Yeah. We have a 1.5-year track record at this point.
2 year.
I got a 2-year track record. Jeez, it's been 2 years already?
Yeah, almost like in another month or two, it'll be 2 years.
Dear God.
I think it was February 2023 we started this. Time flies, my man. Time flies.
It does, man.
And as time flies, never forget. First of all, come to algofactory.tech. We'll show you how to do all this stuff. It's really not as complex as you think it is, right? It's work. It's work ethic that will separate the successful from the unsuccessful. And it's not talent. It's not college degrees. It's not the ability to do math. It's, do you have the capability to set a couple hours aside a week? I'd say minimum 3 hours a week to study how to do this. You don't have to know how to code, any of that. I've shown people of all education levels how to do this. It's not that complicated. And there's one thing I'm better at that's charting is teaching. So come on in. And V the Guerilla, by the way, a lot of people are with us and not even doing any of this trading stuff. They just want to hear the kind of stuff and the intel that V the Guerilla brings. And the kind of stuff that V said yesterday, in our special kind of session, which is when V comes in and drops intel. And V, you're connected to some, I don't even want to say the kind of people you're connected to, but long story short, the intel drops that you give us, I don't know how we're even like still alive. The stuff you give us is pretty high level. So
yeah, and it's deadly accurate, man. Like ridiculously accurate. Geopolitically, geostrategically, geoeconomically, all of that is tied in, and the markets react to that. So know the truth, know the game, know what's coming ahead before it even happens, guys. I'm telling you right now, AlgoFactory.tech.
Yeah,
Join
and we're
us.
doubling our price soon. So get in while it's low because you get to keep that low price.
Exactly. Get in while you
Join us or die.